Hi guys! It's gonna be a little bit anticlimactic going back to just doing regular old boring projects aboard the boat after having done that big announcement of my upcoming crossing of the Atlantic. But well, there's still a lot of things I want to get done before winter really sets in, so we better get on with it. This box showed up a few days ago and it should contain everything I need to bring my installation up to code, so let's have a look. As for the contents of the box, there are a few hoses, a regulator, valve, and a thingamabob for testing for leaks. And a sticker. The box also contains some instructions and it looks pretty straightforward. The first step is going to be to install this box. I've purposely not installed this yet because I'm not going to be able to get the box in and out of there with this mounted. Right now the box is held in place by that one bolt. Let's go ahead and put in another one. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera, but there is a little bit of a gap between the box and the fiberglass way in there in the back. So to make sure that the fiberglass don't crack, I think I'll use some plywood as a spacer. On the other hand, why use plywood when I've got plenty of delicious mahogany left over? It looks like everything fits. Let's get some sealant on this. It'll be interesting to see how the micro muffs are performing. There's a lot of wind out today and I have no idea if there's a ton of wind noise on this video or not. Now the box is secured. Any gas that leaks from that canister will now drain overboard through that hose. The hose isn't secured yet, but I'll do that as soon as I get my hands on some more hose clamps. And that brings us to the part of this project that's gonna be a huge pain in my ass, and that is to run the copper tubing and hoses to connect the canister to my 2-burner stove. This is the regulator, and that's the thingamabob for testing for leaks, and all of that is supposed to be up in the box. These are the 2 hoses that was included with the kit, and as you can see they're identical on the one end, and then on the other end they're different. But one of those I guess is supposed to fit onto that. This actually took a while to figure out because I knew the regulator had to mount there, but then how do I connect these two? Well, this guy was hiding in the box, so of course this goes here and then this goes here. I'll mount this here, and then I'll have plenty of hose to screw the regulator onto the canister. On this side I'll connect a copper tube, and of course I'll have to drill a hole in the box for that. And I'll lead it through one of these plastic thingies. And that brings us to why this is gonna be a pain in the ass. You guys know how much I love crawling around down here. And we're off to a great start. This is the box back here, of course, and I hadn't noticed the support right here, so we'll have to drill through that. Good thing I have Yukul for moral support. I've let this copper tube through the hole we just drilled and bent it roughly to shape, and I hate working with stuff like this because it never turns out the way I want it to, because the bends have too large of a radius and it always looks like crap, but hey, it doesn't matter. I've secured the other end of this hose to my stove, and then this valve is gonna go onto this end, and then on that side of the valve, that copper tubing is gonna connect. These are used to make sure that there's no chafing on this, but look at this. Yeah, that's real clever. Ta-da! So now I need to find somewhere to mount this, and that's not gonna be easy. Oh, I think I have to go one-on-one with that sink again. You guys remember it gave me a pretty good punch in the nose a few weeks back. Oh, not the nose! Not the nose! Ha-ha! I've run the copper tube up here underneath this lip in the cockpit locker. Apparently shoving one of these things into the copper tube before tightening those fittings is real important. This is supposed to keep the copper tubing from collapsing. Now this hole right here, I'm not going to be able to fit one of those plastic thingies in there. So what I'm going to do is I'll just squish this full of Sikaflex, and apparently that's also okay to do according to the manufacturer of that kit I'm using. I had planned on finishing this project today, but sadly that's not going to be doable. A couple of guys who've seen my videos on YouTube stopped by the boat, and I was also over helping one of the other liveaboards for a while, so time just flew. And in about 20 minutes I'm going to meet up with some of the other liveaboards to have a sort of communal dinner. So yeah, I'll just snap my fingers, and just like that, tomorrow is today. And actually I don't have all that much time today either, so we better get started. I've made sure all of the fittings are tight, but before we hook up the canister, there's one more thing we need to do. And that is to top off the thingamabob that's used for testing for leaks. It looks like they didn't bother to include any instructions in this on how to operate this, which is kind of silly. There's a small plus and minus on this, so right now this is open. So we should be able to test the system for leaks by pushing on this, and if bubbles appear down here then we have a leak, so let's give that a try. Oh, no bubbles. It doesn't smell like there's any leaks either, so let's go ahead and check if the stove works, and then afterwards I'll just check every one of the fittings to make absolutely sure that we have no leaks. Ta-da! I borrowed this stuff off one of the other liveaboards, and this is also used for testing for leaks. Now I don't think I have any leaks, at least there was no bubbles out in the thingamabob out in the box. And the thing about that thingamabob out in the box, well, if there's bubbles, you know you have a leak somewhere in the system. And then you spray every one of the fittings with this stuff, and that'll tell you which one of the fittings is leaking. Now I don't suspect I have any leaks, so this is just to make absolutely sure. Well, it's a good thing I checked, because there's a leak right there. Oh, leak all gone. I have no idea why there weren't any bubbles out in the test thingamabob out in the box, because I clearly had a leak. I don't know if the leak was too small of a leak, but still, I'd like to make sure that that test thing is actually working. So I'm just going to turn on the stove and quickly run out and press that red button. As you just saw, there was a lot of bubbles, but then again that was with the stove turned all the way to max, and that tiny leak under the sink doesn't really compare to that. I don't really like the idea of having even a tiny leak aboard the boat that the leak detector won't warn me about, so I'll call the manufacturer on Monday to check with them. But I guess the good news is that I'm finally able to cook hot meals aboard the boat. And I think one of the first things I'll try my hand at is a thing called Chesapeake Bay wings. I got introduced to those by the captain of SV Corsair on my visit to the US this summer. And Chesapeake Bay wings are freaking delicious. And of course there's a link for SV Corsair's channel down in the description. Yeah, I better get busy. Oh, by the way, I'm sure some of you guys are gonna comment suggesting that I put in a solenoid, and I've already ordered one, but the one I want is a really clever one that one of you guys recommended, but it's in back order, so that'll take a while. So for now I'll just have to manually turn on and off the regulator out in the box. That's fine. Okay, I better get busy putting back together the sink and cleaning up, so I guess that's it for this video, guys. See you! Jökull and I hope you've enjoyed this video. To be notified about new content, please click subscribe. If you're new to the channel, I suggest you check out the introduction playlist. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and feel free to leave a comment.